That's a W.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Fourth and Forever podcast. I'm your host, Josh Kirby, and let's just straight get into it. Last night, Stafford and the Rams took on Baker Mayfield and the Bucks. Did not go at all how I expected. Baker and the Bucks only were able to put up 7. Baker gets hurt throughout the game. Bridgewater comes in to relieve him, and still up in the air exactly how this is going to affect Baker long term or the Bucks long term, which now after dropping a loss at 6-5 has now have the same record as the Carolina Panthers, who sit at 6-5, who later tonight play not the 49ers. And that's a huge game because with the Niners trying to, maybe the division might not be in sights with Seattle and the Rams performing at the level they are, but playoffs wildcard spot is certainly in their sights. And now with the Panthers seeing the injured Bucks team, who knows how this is going to derail the rest of their season. Panthers can look to maybe sneak out this win and either win the division or at least attempt to win the division or enter as a wild card spot. Phenomenal. But the true story of this game is something that I've been saying for the last few weeks, and it's that Matthew Stafford should be this year's MVP. He's playing some of the best football he's played of his whole career, and right now he says it stands 30 touchdowns and 2 interceptions on the season. He's just playing lights out. There's no quarterback playing at the level he's playing at right now. There's no team that's benefiting from his play style as much as his team is, or his playmaking abilities as much as his team is as of this moment. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's some great teams out there that is doing some great things, and some great players doing some great things for their teams, but no one is providing and putting more towards their team than this man is at the moment. Now, I know he does have the advantage of throwing to former All-Pro Davante Adams, and if he hasn't won already, a future All-Pro in Puka Nacua. He's got 2 phenomenal receivers he's throwing to, but they get everyone involved. I mean, you're hearing that. I heard one of the commentators last night say something. I couldn't quite remember who, but they said if you wear a jersey for the Rams, you're going to play, and that's true on offense and on defense. They will put you out there. You will get your shots. They always have people rotating in and out, and it's quite wonderful. It's one of the coolest things to see because this unit it may be having the success it is having because of Stafford playing at the level he's playing at right now. But don't get it twisted that Stafford isn't the only reason this team is as dominant as it is. The receivers are producing, the running backs are producing. This offensive line has really held up well for Stafford. The defensive line has been, I think, coming into the season, one of the more underrated and very properly rated right now defensive line. I mean, I don't want to go through all the names overall, but I'm going to focus on probably the one that impresses me the most, who just got his 5th sack on the season last night. I don't know if he grabbed another one, but I know he at least got his number 5, and that's Jared Verse. Someone who I was very high on last year, for now Defensive Rookie of the Year, coming into his second year. I mean, there's all the evidence and signs point, as long as this guy stays healthy, Verse is going to be one of the best defensive players in the league. He's got everything you want. He's got a good head on his shoulders. He's quick. He's strong. He does everything you want him to do as a edge rusher, and he adds a different element to this defense that is just at the moment irreplaceable. And it allows the secondary to continue to improve because while this defensive front is getting home pretty often and just laying an overall great impact onto the game, the secondary has been able to improve slowly throughout the season. And it's been, like I said, they don't have a studded secondary, but it's just enough where with slight improvements and adjustments and the D line getting after it, they can really, be a cohesive unit. And let's not overlook it. They do have Sean McVay as their head coach, and his friend, the young guy who's the defensive coordinator right now for them, is killing it. But it always is the credit to Sean McVay because he's proven year in, year out, time in and time again, he's one of the best, still young coaches in the league, and he's going to be around. And if he wants to, he's going to be around coaching for as long as he can. I mean, I don't see him in the Rams ever going to Splitsville. Now, we'll see what happens after they transition off of Stafford. But at the moment, with the way Stafford's playing, Stafford could play another 2 years, maybe. Who knows? At this level, if this offensive line holds up and he's still slinging it with the best of them. I mean, how win an MVP at 37? Not many do it. There's a few, but not many do it. And you got to give all the respect to him in the world. This whole team, this whole organization, they have set themselves up for plenty of success now, and with the youngness on defense, and even youngness all around on offense. I mean, Kyron Williams is young, Puka's young. You got young offensive linemen. All these guys, all this youth that is going to transition the next generation of this Rams team beyond Stafford is it's brilliant. It shows that a well-run organization can stay relevant even after maybe a down year. It happens, but greatness prevails, and we're seeing it with the Rams. I mean, we've seen it with many great organizations over the year where you have kind of a low period where you're trying to establish that next generational run, but a great organization gets it right, and all of them do get it right eventually, and they got it right, and they're doing it very well right now. They're right back in the mix of it, and honestly, they're my like I said, I've moved off of my fandom for Green Bay this year and have transitioned that into the Rams, and they are my pick to come out of the NFC. I think even after watching the Eagles Dallas game, which I'm gonna get to in a moment, the Rams are probably the best team in football right now. They're dominating on all aspects. I mean, the Bucks are a good team. Now, if you want to really break it down with the Bucks, the problem is a little bit of Baker feeling like he has to do it all. A feeling of they didn't have Bucky, who was their lead back, who was a huge pivotal piece to this offense. They don't have his reliable target in Mike Evans due to being banged up and injured. Godwin still hasn't got it going this season. And Ibuka, who was shocking the world at the beginning of the season, and who still can and still has a lot of great playmaking ability, that was shifted into that main number one role and hasn't been producing as much as I would like, or as much as he would like, or as much as all of us was expecting. He's kind of dropped down a little bit. I thought the production wouldn't drop back, but I guess being put up more against the number one corners and probably better protection, people have watched him a little more and he's getting a little more coverage. It's definitely taken him out of a few games, which has greatly increased the just the onslaught on Baker when his number one target's not out there. He's trying to get everyone else involved. He's making plays, and he's once again in his career he's brittling up his body for a team that needs to put more unit around him, need to improve that offensive line, and they really need to get their defense improved. I really think the Bucks moving forward, depending on no matter how this season goes, they're gonna have to revamp that defense. Their corners are both hurt. They have no pass rush. The linebacking core is still older. I love Levante David. He's still playing at a high level, but he can't do it all. They really need to get a really good pass rusher in there and maybe youthen up this defense a little bit. But they have a lot of pieces that I do like, and moving forward, they can be a better team. But they got to get healthy. They got to get Baker to protect himself a little more, even though this is just how the style is going to play. This is the ups and downs of having an emotionally sturdy quarterback. I would say a quarterback that plays with more emotions, and now he's a more matured emotional player. I think it's like I've talked about with JJ McCarthy. JJ was very up and down with his emotions. You can see when he's on his high, he's everything's clicking a lot better. But as he confidence drops, things aren't going as planned. You see he's kind of almost middling around, trying to looks almost lost. Baker being more mature, we don't get that lost aspect, but we do get the when he needs it, he's going to go take two hits to the side of the shoulders while he's trying to get a first down. He is going to dive for it. He is going to wait for the pass to be set, wait for the play to come available before he launches it, even if he's going to take a big hit. And we commend it and we love it. And as fans, we appreciate every moment of it because you see a guy going out there and giving it his all and putting his heart into the game. And that's something that us as fans we do it from the sidelines. We can't do it physically in the game, but we do it from the sidelines. We're putting our all, our heart each and every week into each and every game that we love and feel like we have something on the line. But he physically is doing it. He is the embodiment of what fandom represents, and he's just a fan of his own team and his own teammates and his city. And it's like I said, it's so commendable, and it should bring a lot of pride to that organization. But as a coach or member of that organization, it worries you because if Baker's not out there to play, I mean, no, not trying to rag on Teddy, but Teddy Bridgewater is not as talented as Baker. He's got a lot of talent, but you don't see this team going to the playoffs with Teddy Bridgewater. You see this team going to the playoffs with Baker Mayfield. So if you're going to be pushing Teddy out there the next few weeks, in where you got some important games that are going to come up. You could easily slip out of the lead of the division. Panthers could slide in, especially if they get a win tonight, and that could really put you in a rocky position moving forward, not only to win the division, but to even make the playoffs, because the NFC is going to be really tight around that wild card spot. So if you don't win your division, you're not guaranteed a playoff spot. But that game was very important for the NFC, and seeing what the Rams were able to do to a really good Bucks team, whether they were banged up or not, that's still a well coached team, well led team. That was difficult to watch. I, as a football fan, knowing, well, wow, Bucks are really look like they're getting beat up, and the Rams, they look really damn good. It's it really is. It's a team that everyone in the NFC saw that game and said, "Damn, how are we going to beat them?" And I don't care what any team says, no matter how confident you are, you know that's the team to beat right now. So hopefully, if prediction comes right, we're going to see the Rams in the playoffs. They might even, with the Eagles' loss now, there's a lot more implications on the seeding. That number one seed is wide open in both sides in the AFC and the NFC. But right now, the Rams have it locked up at the moment. Or I think the Eagles with the tiebreaker actually have it locked up. But either way, it's really close. And if the Eagles can't get it right, the Rams can easily slide the number one seed. And I don't think home field advantage is huge for the team per se, because I think there's still a lot of teams still can travel around well, and most teams don't mind traveling to LA. It's a nice, beautiful city, beautiful stadium, but it still is a nice year week off when your quarterback is 37 years old and is putting up the numbers he is this season. Giving him a break before he has to go into the playoffs wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So it would be really interesting to see what happens to both these teams as the season goes on. But speaking of what's going to happen for the rest of the season in the NFC, let's transition to the Eagles losing to the Cowboys after being up 21 to nothing for most of the first half. The Cowboys scoring a late touchdown in the second, and we were able to rally back to win the game 24 to 21. Eagles had this game in the bag in the first half, and they were getting AJ Brown active, and it's the same problem with this team every single week. But this time they met a division opponent that had a good game plan, and they capitalized on mistakes. The Eagles missed a field goal. The Eagles fumbled the ball twice. Those were the difference makers in this game. The Cowboys, they weren't perfect. CeeDee Lamb was dropping touchdowns. Hey, the excellent young kicker Brandon Aubrey, who's been phenomenal since he's entered the league, missed a field goal. It wasn't perfect for the Cowboys, but they capitalized on those mistakes, on those cracks in the Eagles team. And this is why last week, or even though I think the Eagles are very talented, why I'm really bullish on them to win the NFC, or I'm really worried about them playing in a playoff game. This team isn't perfect. This team is very flawed. Typically, when you're up big, you want to be able to run the ball to dominate time of possession and limit the amount of possessions that the opponent gets. But if you can't run the ball, you can't do that. And clearly, this passing attack is not sustainable through four quarters, which is very nerve wracking when you have two of the best receivers in the league. And I mean, I'll take any, I'll take this receiving core over almost any receiving core. What they both can do differently, but also both can do at a high level. It's insane, and yet, but they can't get it consistent. Dallas Goddard's proven to be a phenomenal pass catcher, tight end. Not getting him involved enough there, but it all starts with you can't run the ball. You're forcing yourself to be one dimensional, and this is not a passing team. It really isn't. No matter how much you want it to be at the core, this and how much we all love Jalen Hurts, because I like Jalen Hurts. I'm one of those guys that came into this season putting him as the fifth best quarterback in the league because I mean he just won the Super Bowl and his best game of his career, two of them, I would say of his best three games of his career, two of them have been in Super Bowls. So it's hard for me to just ignore that talent. But also at the same rate, there's some quarterbacks that they benefit. Okay, all quarterbacks benefit from a good run game. We've seen it when Patrick Mahomes had it. We've seen when the Ravens get it. We've seen when James Cook keeps going, how much is better for Josh Allen. We've seen it across the board. Some quarterbacks are more reliant on that than others because some quarterbacks they to get their pass game more efficient, it's better to have a consistent rush game so passing lanes will more likely open up. That's such as we've seen that in Green Bay, which I'll get to that more. But I think the better they have a running offense, the better Jordan Love is about divvying up the ball and moving down the field. You may not want Jordan Love throwing it 30 plus times in the game, but if he can throw it 22 times in a game, complete at a high rate, you can win. And that's the same here with the Eagles. And it's proven throughout Jalen Hurts' career. He plays better when he throws less. And it's not saying he can't throw the ball. It's not saying he's not a good quarterback, but it's saying that there is a formula that works for him and that leaning into that formula can produce more, not only more wins, but better looking wins. And that would be the main thing I think this team should focus on is finding out how to lean that balance. Especially you're not getting Saquon going. And I understand the offensive line is banged up, it's hurt, but you're an offensive line factory there. You guys have a lot of talented offensive linemen. You have one of the best offensive line coaches in the league, maybe of all time. There's no excuse for this team not being able to be schematically efficient in the run game, but they're not. It stems from the offense coordinator, and I'm not one to always say, hey, fire, fire, fire. But sometimes a coach does need to be let go when they're not doing their due diligence and the duties are not being followed through. And that's what's happening with this team. They're not consistent. They're not efficient. They're they have good halves, not good games, and that's going to cost you in the long run, especially when you're playing good teams that can have a full game. Like the Rams team they played the first time is not the Rams team they're going to play if they meet in the playoffs. The Rams have gotten a lot better. That Lions team, I know that defense is a little suspect. I'll get into that defense a little bit later. But overall, that team is very fast, high scoring offense. I mean, the Giants were scoring like crazy on them and having Wanda Robinson having the game of his life. And second play in overtime, Jahmyr Gibbs takes it down 74 yards, scores. That's what happens when you have that fast, good schematic, playmaking offense. Your players are in the right positions. They make the right plays. Things flow fluidly. That even when it seemed like, man, the Giants might sneak one out here, the Lions were never out of it because the offense was above and beyond in all aspects when it would matter the most. And that's something that the Eagles have not had all season. So what are you going to do when you face a team like that? Clearly, with your defense, you're not going to bully every team. It's just not going to happen. You're a really good defense, but you're not bullying every team. And but let's talk about the actual winners because I don't want to dwell too much on the Eagles because I think they're still a really good team. They're still going to make the playoffs. But the Cowboys winning is huge for them because now they're 5-5-1. A team that I kind of almost gave up on in the season, but now looking at see where their position is at, it's more favorable. They have some options now. I still think making the playoffs seems like a long shot, just because I think the wild card, like I talked about, the wild card spacing is so tight nipped right now. I mean, you got the Niners, Seahawks, Rams all fighting for. They're taking up two wild card spots within amongst those three, in my opinion, anyway. So you got two there, so you really only have one spot left. Now, if the Niners miss it, I wouldn't be shocked just because I think this Panthers game is going to be huge for that. But I just don't believe so. I don't think they're at the moment. They're just based on how well coached this team is and how what they're the overproducing they've done so far with everything that's gone against them. It's hard for me to believe they don't make the playoffs. But you do have teams like the Packers, Lions, Bears. Possibly two of those teams are missing the playoffs, and only the division winners making it in. That's scary. You got the Bucks Panthers that are, I mean, Panthers if they beat the Niners, they're you got to take them a little more seriously than you want to, and doesn't mean the Bucks are gonna just lay down and let it all happen. So winning this game for the Cowboys was huge. Now their next game is against the Chiefs, which I'll talk about the Thanksgiving game more, the odds on and not really the odds on that, but the stakes that are at play for both teams there. But we'll get into that. But focus on this game and so far this season. I gotta give Jerry Jones credit. We laughed at him going into the season. Schottenheimer, bad hire. Why are they trading Parsons? Oh, they're bringing in Pickens. Which, first of all, I like the Pickens bringing, but I had no clue it was going to be this good. Then bringing in Javante Williams, I thought he already. I I remember me saying this. I said they brought in running backs that nobody else wanted. Well, guess what? Shame on everyone else because Javonte Williams is wanted in Dallas and he's proven his worth each and every week. They're putting together one of the best rushing attacks week in and week out in the league. With Quinn Williams added to that defensive line, him and Kenny Clark have become probably the best defensive tackle duo in the league right now, has greatly increased their ability to stop the run and just overall has tightened up that defense a little bit. The addition of Logan Wilson's huge. He's making tackles all around the field. That linebacker from Texas, Overshown, he showed up. He's a guy. I liked him coming out. I liked him when they drafted him. I thought the ACL really set him back of his career, but if he can really get going, he can be one of the better linebackers in the league. But back on the offense, Javonte Williams has been one of the biggest pickups in free agency across the league for what he's been able to do to this offense. He's been able to add a dynamic to this offense that has not had since, I would say, since Zeke at his dominant fashion. I mean, you can give some edge to Pollard when he had his short run there, but even Dowdle last year wasn't what he's done in Carolina is not all what he was able to do in Dallas. This line is a better run blocking line than pass blocking, but that's okay because you have a veteran presence in Dak Prescott who has been making pretty decent decisions throughout the season. He's not been perfect, but who has been a star in Dallas, and I give props to the organization for going and getting him. Was like I said, who I was high on, George Pickens. You know, he's had 4 games this year of over 130 yards receiving. The Steelers have not had one. That's that's a big tell right there. That shows you the Steelers lost something they needed and Dallas gained something they really didn't need. They didn't need Pickens and Lamb. They I felt like they needed a lot of other pieces. I liked them getting a wide receiver too, but I don't think it was as necessary. I think they could have found someone maybe someone else, but they didn't really give up much for Pickens. They're going to have to give up a contract probably for him because I think with the way he's produced and how him and Dak have really connected, giving him a 3-year extension mid-season would be a lot better than paying him a 3 to 4 year contract after the season. But either way, I think he's a really good player, and him and Lamb have really complemented each other very well. I think Pickens has actually this year has played better than CeeDee Lamb, but also we know CeeDee's coming off an injury. CeeDee hasn't been 100% all season. I think Pickens has really filled in that them gaps where CeeDee has lacked at times, and it's not. I think some of it's just more so CeeDee getting back to full form, and he can still be one of the best receivers in the league. But as of right now, Pickens has been that guy. He's been a star in Dallas, and it's phenomenal. It's great to see. It was weird. My whole life, I've hated the Cowboys. I mean, I liked Romo. I like Dak, but overall, I guess it just it's fun to hate the Cowboys because the Cowboys fans, and I mean this in all respect, but you guys know it. You guys have high expectations for your team. Your team never makes it, and you whine and complain why it's not happening and blame everything that you and blame Jerry and blame this and blame that. And at the end of the day, sometimes it's just looking in the mirror and saying we aren't good. We're not good enough. But I found myself rooting for them yesterday. It was more so the fact is I think for the first time in a long time this team was really underrated. This team was really counted out. This team was almost I would say with the way they've looked, they were disrespected. With what Jerry was able to do, with what Schottenheimer has been able to do, and I will say this: we everyone laughed about that hire. I laughed about that hire, but he's made this offense a very high functioning offense, and he's more than proven his worth there and is going to get at least another year as a head coach. I don't care how the season turned out. He deserved at least another year at this moment, especially after a win like that. Now, if he's the long term answer, I'm not sure, but he definitely deserves a win after, deserves to remain after that win. I really think that win has really defined him this season because that was probably their best win this season because of the strength of their opponent. It's a divisional game. That was a very important game, and Dallas has really put themselves in a good position for long term in the season if they can, especially if they can win their next game on Thanksgiving. Which, like I already said, we'll get to that in a moment. But next, I want to talk about the team they're going to play on Thanksgiving. Is the Chiefs who played the Colts. No, I'm gonna start on the Colts, but then I'll get to the Chiefs, the winners. Colts, don't let this. loss define you. And by me saying that, the Chiefs had to win this game. They fallen to 5-6 in the AFC with the division seeming way too out of reach. The Chiefs knew if they lost this game, the chances of making the playoffs was going to be very low. They don't hold a lot of tiebreakers at the moment. They're going to be there'd be almost 5 games, 4 to 5 games behind the division leader. That's you can't do nothing with that. Overall, I think the Chiefs they came in knowing what had to be done and they were going to do whatever it took to get there. And so the coach, you can't. They needed it more than you. And sometimes point blank period when a team needs a win and they're a good team with a good head with a Hall of Fame head coach, with a Hall of Fame quarterback, with Hall of Fame probably defensive lineman, Hall of Fame tight end, and just overall a unit that buys into what this organization has sold for the last 8 years, 8, 9 years. Yeah, that they're gonna win this game. That's why I had them winning this game. I told everyone they were gonna win this game, and it was not an indictment against the Colts. It was not that the Colts weren't good enough. It's not that Jonathan Taylor isn't still considered an MVP candidate. It's not. It wasn't all about the Colts this week. It was about the Chiefs. Now, if the Colts win, yes, it would be all about the Colts. They beat the Chiefs, sent the Chiefs to a 5-6 record, and potentially almost puts them in the biggest jeopardy they've ever been about missing the playoffs. But that's not how the game went. That's not the narrative. The narrative was the Colts went up 21-9, and the Chiefs do what the Chiefs do best is they rely on what they know. They rely on Chris Jones, they rely on Patrick Mahomes, and they rely on Travis Kelce. And they did what they do best. They schemed up a perfect second half. And maybe it didn't execute perfect every time, but that how they schemed it up and how they mapped out the second half put them in a position to win this game. And that's what greatness is. That's what great teams do. That's what experienced teams do. The Colts got to remember, you all have not been a unit that long. Daniel Jones has just been slotted in. Steichen's only been there a couple years. A lot of these players are young. A lot of these players are coming into the fold. There's new players. There's old players. This team is still figuring out what they are. And especially when your quarterback is in his first year in this system, it's different. It is going to be different than going against a quarterback who basically is that system. It is very different. And the Colts shouldn't hang their head now. Like I said, don't let it define you. Because moving forward, you still have divisional games. You still have games you have to win. Because real easily, Jacksonville isn't looks like they're not going out quietly. And I guess I'll mention them real quick. This team that they have a really okay defense. They have playmakers on offense, and they're a very well coached team. So if the Colts let this loss define them and starts losing confidence and start dropping games, that can very easily lead to the Jags slotting into your playoff spot. And now the Chiefs got you in a tiebreaker. What if you're what 8-3 now? You lose 3 more games. You're right. You're almost right where the Chiefs are. Like you could put yourself in a position where you're on the outside looking in, and there's no reason for it because you have the unit to do it. So don't lose your confidence. Don't lose the goal. Just win the division. Win the divisional games. Do what you have to do. This Chiefs loss isn't about you. It's about them. Put it behind you. Move forward. You know what you are. Be what you are. As for the Chiefs, like I said, all props to them. I have said many occasions throughout this season, I will not be a fool when it comes to them. I will not count them out till they're out, and even if I won't bet on them, I won't count them out till they're out. How I don't bet most Chiefs games. I bet this one my parlay may not have hit, but I bet this one because I knew the Chiefs were going to win this game. So I'm really excited to see what they do against Dallas. Like I said, I'll talk more about that game, but let's transition to something else. Now these are a little more quick uh, notations that I picked up because I didn't want to dive into some of these games, even though they were exciting. I feel like the irrelevancy was high. Like if the Giants would have beat the Lions, I think that game would have been more relevant. It was fun watching Jameis Winston do it. It was fun watching Wanner Robinson ball out. I have a lot of hope for the Giants long term. I think what this team has been able to do throughout the season is showing a lot of impressiveness for next year. I think it opens up a really good head coaching candidate spot that whoever whether they go get Mike McCarthy or go get I don't know, some other young OC or DC out there. They should, or they bring in a veteran like I said, Mike McCarthy or someone of his caliber. That it would be really, it's a good job. I think it's a really good job. You think you got your quarterback. You know you're gonna have a number one receiver. If they re-sign Wandale, you can really count on him being a good number two. I think Scottable's, like I said, running back's going to be fine. That defensive front's phenomenal. Brian Burns has been putting on a clinic all year. I think this team was a little better. He would have a better opportunity to as defensive player of the year. I think it's hard to compete when you got Myles Garrett also as a pass rusher, and he's already got what, almost 18 sacks on the season. Just phenomenal, insane. It's insane how great he's been. But I just want to say the Lions defense needs to improve though. That's the main takeaway I've got from the Lions game. Offense is fine. Love their offense. Big Jared Goff guy. Jahmyr Gibbs is one of the best running backs in football. You know he has, I want to say 43, 44 touchdowns on before turning 24. He's up there with some great names. Names like Randy Moss, names like Barry Sanders, who has 47. Yes, there's a good chance for the end of the season, before he turns 24, he will have more touchdowns in his career before 24 than Barry Sanders did. Because Barry Sanders is at 47, he's at 44. I would bet Jahmyr Gibbs is going to get 4 touchdowns at least the rest of the season. This offense is so much better when he has the ball in his hands. But not just him, Amon-Ra St. Brown been one of the best receivers in the league since he's come in, and his receptions are his quality. He's a possession guy. You get him the ball as often as you can, and that's what he's great with. And that's what a lot of quarterbacks, pocket passers, need. I mean, look at it. Drew Brees, so much better when Michael Thomas was catching the ball a lot. Matt Stafford looked really good when Cooper Kupp was catching the ball a lot. It's beneficial to have that guy you can trust every down, big spots, simple spots, no matter what, you can trust him. And then you got like Jameson Williams, who's just quick as hell, and then David Montgomery, who's a bruiser but has some quickness to him. And Aiden Hutchinson on that defense, who's been playing really well, but the back end needs improvement. This defense needs improvement, though. They gave it 494 yards to the Giants. I understand it could have been a funky game. Shit happens, but you can't let that happen. You really, really can't let that happen. It can't define you. They've been averaging almost 300 yards per game in the last 5 games. I don't think it's a terrible number, but it's not a great number. It's not something I would hang my hat on, but it's also something that I wouldn't be overall disappointed by. But I would definitely, it's worth acknowledging that this defense is letting up points, yet letting up yards. This defense isn't a consistent product each and every week. You don't know what Lions defense you're going to get. Are you going to get the defense that's really going to be hammering home, playing hard and aggressive? Or are you going to be a team that feels like a finesse defense where they're relying on big plays, not so much consistency? And that's worrisome, because when you come in the playoffs, big plays sometimes fail, but consistency generally doesn't. I mean, that's one thing I have about the Ravens. I think we become a big play defense, which I really enjoy, which has really helped us. But now that we've been more consistent in the last couple of weeks, it's really defined our defense better than just making big plays. And now we're making big plays and we're being consistent. That's something the Lions have to kind of work through, which they changed their defensive coordinator, they changed their offensive coordinator from last season to this season. There's a learning curve overall, so I don't want to put too much on it, but it's something to note. Then, like I brought up previously, the Jags. They're they won again. They're pretty good side on 500. The rest of the season's really going to find them, but I think they found their head coach in Liam Cohen. Do I love Trevor? I'm not sure. Do I like the running back? Yes, I think ATN's good. I like this defense. They still think they're still young, and I'm still not. It's not a solid unit, but it's not a bad unit. But I do love Josh Hines Allen. He's been a staple since they've drafted him. He's really been the leader, the captain, the face of this franchise since he's been drafted there, and he's each and every week he's proven it. He's always making a play every game. He's in it every game. That's a good leader to have on defense, and that's something that can help this team moving forward. But they have to the coach is the team to beat now. Like I said, they have a little advantage over the Colts because they beat the Chiefs. So when it comes to that weird, however they're gonna do the ranking for who tiebreaker beats who tiebreakers, the Jags I think have a better tiebreaker over the Chiefs than the Colts would at the moment. I'm pretty sure based on head-to-head matchups. So the Jags like I said, the Colts need to win this division. Well, I think the Jags really could still make the playoffs without winning the division. But in the AFC, like I've said, it's a tight race. You have a lot of teams. Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers. There's a chance one of those teams make the playoffs, but there's a good chance all three, or at least two, are making the playoffs. The Ravens and Steelers, they're fighting out for the division. They don't. If the Ravens don't win the division, they're not making the playoffs. We just don't have that. We won't have the tiebreakers at all. And then the Texans got another win, so the Texans aren't going out quietly. So you really, and then Bills, Patriots, both those teams are making the playoffs. So it's like wild card spots are really limited on AFC, NFC. Good teams are going to miss the playoffs this year, both sides. I think there's a lot of good football right now. Maybe not a lot of great football, but there is a lot of good football. And the Jags are one of those teams that are having good football. Will they be great? I think it's going to be another year to kind of see how they're going to use Travis Hunter next season. But this is a team that has the potential for some greatness. But right now they're good. Let's see how good they are going forward. Seattle, they played really well this season. And yesterday, another dominant defensive performance. I didn't want to talk much. They played the Titans. I didn't expect Titans played pretty well. I think Seattle came in and underestimated the team a little bit, but they still did their thing, got it going. They let Titans come back a little bit, but I don't think they were scared of the team. I think they knew what they were, and they kind of just they were just going through the motions. Seattle was prepared. I think they knew they were confident in the game plan they set against the Titans, and it relatively worked out. I think moving forward, my biggest issue with Seattle is I don't know in the playoffs how it's going to look when you have Darnold matching up against Hurts or Stafford or Purdy or so like the I guess or Golf. Like how is he going to stack up to some of these guys that have had some really good success in the NFC and pretty much since most of them since their careers started a year into their career, Darnold's had that up and down, but he's finally having a really good career surgence. How is it going to transition if he's got to play these teams? I mean, we've already seen him against the Rams and how rough that turned out. So if him and the Seahawks when they play the Rams again, that game's going to be really important, especially for the division, for seeding. And then if they have to play a third time in the playoffs, it's really seeing how he matches up against Stafford. I think it's going to be a big difference of what team can make it to the Super Bowl and what team can't. New England played really good. No, okay. New England played okay. I think Cincinnati's defense has been playing really hard. I think if they feel the need to, I think they're playing harder because they have a little more belief in Flacco and Burrow coming back to practice. I think has jolted this team, thinking they still have a chance. They don't have a chance, but thinking they have a chance. The real story though is if Burrow comes back this season or not. He's practicing and it's looking like he if I was Burrow, I would want to come back. I'd want to get my feet under me, get some confidence, get a win or two this season. Even not the playoffs are probably very unlikely, especially if you don't play Thursday, or if you play Thursday, you're going against the Ravens defense, who's been really good this season, and Lamar's had your number throughout your career. So it may not help you with this season, but you can carry some momentum into next season, and you can get your feet under you, so you won't feel as rusty next season because then you actually have played some active football, and it wouldn't be almost a year out from the next time you play any football games. So that is very important, I think, for him. If I was the Bengals organization, I wouldn't push him out there. I'd say, hey, season's over. We're not making the playoffs. We have Flacco. We have Browning. Who knows what happens with these two guys? We're just gonna wait until next season because if we put you out there and you somehow get hurt again, next season could be a wash, and we can't have another season washed because of Burrow's injuries. That would that would be really down for the whole offseason because they're gonna have to spend a whole offseason debating do we need a quarterback. I think that's a rough debate to have for Cincinnati, and I think they really should take their time, make this decision with Burrow, and do what's best for the franchise, not always best for Joe Burrow and what he may want. Speaking of that, though, I'm doing this for my pops. He wanted me to talk about this, and it's not that I'm saying it's a non-story. It just with Burrow, I think Burrow was the bigger story in Cincinnati, but Joe Flacco is he's going to move on from Cincinnati. He won't be there next year. And there was a lot of talks. He's played with the Browns. He was a Ravens quarterback. He played for the Bengals, and it's a real long shot. But my dad brought up a thought to me. He's like, "What if he next year, signs a backup deal with the Steelers? Or what if Rodgers retires and he just signs a deal there? Tomlin's a big Flacco fan. Flacco's clearly proven with a functioning offense that he can produce, whether with a good defense. If they can keep the numbers down, he can put up more points and help balance the scales. But I'm just going to be his point blank. I don't know what's going to happen with Flacco next season. I think he'll get a shot on the team. I think if Rodgers stays in Pittsburgh, Flacco's not going to go there. There's no sense of having two of the oldest quarterbacks in the league in your roster. But the story of it would be really nice. I think no quarterback has ever done that. No quarterback has played for all four teams in one division. It would be really impressive. It would be fun as a Flacco fan to see that. I think next season for Flacco, he's going to find himself another backup role or another mentorship role. He will find a team that needs his caliber of play. I could see him staying. I could see him going anywhere. I mean, I could see him staying with the Bengals, but I doubt it with Burrow there. They really don't need him there. I could see him sitting on his couch and getting a call when someone gets hurt. That's really great odds there. There's nothing wrong with that. But as a Flacco fan, I mean, I got his jersey on. I love Flacco. I don't know if he can. He's not going to improve a team, but he's a great piece of a team. And I think a team like the Vikings, who have a lot of pieces around them, if they're not sold on JJ, that would be his best option. I think going there with Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, with Aaron Jones and uh, what is it, Mason as the running backs, and Hawkinson tight end, and that O line that's going to be improving hopefully, and a good defense there. That would be the best place for him because I think that gives him the best chance to not only start but put up numbers and keep doing what he's been doing this season. So there you go, Pops. I brought it up. We'll see if anyone has any thoughts on it, and we'll go from there. And speaking of the Vikings, I'm not a big fan of JJ McCarthy. I'm sorry, I like the kid. I don't think he's ready to start. I think he would have been a guy benefiting from sitting for 2, 3, maybe 4 years. I just don't think he's ready. I don't think it's. I think they just put him in a no-win situation. I think Sam Darnold having such a great year last year, and then you're getting a raw product as a quarterback this year. It's just not working out. It's I don't know what they're going to do next season, but it's clearly not working out this season. I predicted the Packers to win this game. I don't have much to say about the Vikings. I still love Brian Flores and and Kevin O'Connell and that whole coaching staff. I still love their weapons. I love this roster. I just don't love the quarterback, and I think that holds his team back immensely. As for the Packers, Emmanuel Wilson had a phenomenal showing. I picked him up in fantasy. I thought he'd have a great showing. He did. He rushed for 2 touchdowns. This team is better when they can run the ball. And it's hard to run the ball when you're playing a lot of good defenses. But this team is better when Jordan Love throws less and they run the ball more. I That's about it for me on that offense. I think they get into Christian Watson's great, and I like what they're trying to do, but I still don't think they have an identity. But I think their identity should be run the football, do some play action pass, have Jordan Love throw less than 30 times, and try to have an 1,000 yard rusher. I think Josh Jacobs may not be with the team next year. If he is, I would love to see it. I think he just hasn't been healthy all year, and I think him not playing is good for him, especially if this team thinks they can make the playoffs. And they have a good backup, so that's two good backups, I would say. Okay backups, but this is a team that really has to rely on this defense to really step up when this offense can't get going. Luckily, that trade for Parsons, I think, has very much worked out for this defense. So we'll see where they're going. Like I said, I'm not as high on the Packers right now, but that could change. But right now, my fandom for the NFC cap is all tied up with the Rams stock right now. And I bought, and I ain't selling that shit at all. And before I get into talking about the Thanksgiving games, I just want to give a quick shout out to Shedeur Sanders getting his first start with the Cleveland Browns. He was 11 for 20, 209 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 87.3 quarterback rating, and he got the W. Can't complain. Most Browns quarterbacks that start don't get their first win in their first start. Johnny Manziel didn't. Baker Mayfield didn't. Long list. If we go through every Browns quarterbacks that didn't win in their first game or ever, that list would be way too long. But props for Shedeur. I think he played okay. I think it's really smart of this coaching staff how they approached the game with him. They didn't put him in too many bad situations. The red zone they left it to a wildcat with Judkins, which was proven to be a really smart strategy that game. But they were playing the Raiders, probably the worst team in football. They don't play that hard. Their offense sucks, point blank period. Genti looks small at times. He looks really small against a bad offensive line. Gino's not it. Gino's not a franchise quarterback. I'm sorry, he's not. You can't. The defense is just playing with no heart. The only guy on that defense playing with all the heart in the world is Max Crosby, and I don't know why the hell he won't just leave that team and go be better somewhere else. Because this organization has done nothing to prove to you that they're willing to invest in this team in the way they need to. They have ideas and they bring in an outside help, but they're not actually getting anything done, and that's a problem. Maybe they shouldn't have fired Antonio Pierce. Maybe he wasn't the problem. I don't know. But I will say Shadur did make one really great big boy throw that was phenomenal. It was a rollout and a chuck it up to Isaiah Bonds. Got him down to the 1 yard line. That was probably the best throw of the game Shadur made. It was probably his best play. And honestly, it was one of those things where when he made that play, you're like, okay, you got a little something here. Let me see another week. I don't want to jump the gun with him. I wasn't so I liked Shadur coming out, but I didn't love him. I didn't think he was a first round pick, but I also did not think he was a fifth round pick. I thought he was probably more of a second or third. With he had good upside, but is also his. But I don't think his ceiling is very high, but I also don't think his floor is super low. So I would like to really see what goes on the next few weeks and see what they can get out of him. But they got the win, so congrats to them. But then again, like I said, it was the Raiders, so let's transition throughout the rest of the season. Now, let's talk about the Thursday night games that are coming up. Thanksgiving, I love Thanksgiving. It's always been one of my favorite holidays. You get football, feasting, and family. That you can't get much better than that. Honestly, I'm a big boy. I like to eat. Trust me. And watching football with the family, sitting down with my dad and my brother, been amazing. One of my favorite memories of my not just childhood but just my whole life. Thanksgiving football is a staple. Then you got, and it's awesome. And then you get awesome games. First game on the night, we get the Packers and the Lions, a divisional game where it has real implications. I can't tell you how many Thanksgivings I watched where I watched the Lions play and they weren't good at all. Love watching Stafford play on Thanksgiving, but man, were these teams bad. But now we have a really good Lions team, and we have a really good Packers team. And this game will really, I think, define. I mean, I have the Lions winning. That would be my prediction. I'm going to include all three of these games in my picks for the week. I'll talk about it later, but I think I'm going to include all three just for the hell of it. But I have Detroit beating the Packers. I think they're just a better unit. I think it's going to be in Detroit this time, so I think they're going to have an edge of home field. It's Thanksgiving, and there's so much that goes in this game that I have them as taking the advantage here. But the Packers are going to come in with a game plan. They're going to come in fighting hard. This game is going to be really decided if Parsons can apply enough pressure to Goff to force him to hurry throws or be a little off balance. While on the other side for the Lions, it's really going to determine if they can stop the running attack, and this defense can really step up and control the game. I think if this game's controlled by offense, I give it to the Lions. If this game's controlled by defense, it could go either way. So Packers want this to be a defensive game, and the Lions need this. I think the Lions need to stop that running attack so their offense can get going. So that'd be an interesting game to watch. There's a lot on the line. Seeding, the division, the Bears, who I didn't talk about, they got another win. Bears are a good team. That was a good win for them. Bears lead the division right now. So if the Lions want to catch them, if the Packers want to catch them, this is the game to start it. So a lot on the line in this game for them. And then the next game, with after Dallas beating Philly, a lot on the line for these teams. You got Dallas, who at 5-5-1 easily could start making a wild card push with a win, and the Chiefs, who are sitting at 6-5, they lose this, they'll be 6-6, still muttering around that 500 territory. That hurts. That really is going to make it tough. I mean, them every loss they drop is going to be more and more fear of missing the playoffs. So that's why the win over the Colts is important. That's why, honestly, for the Chiefs, every game for the rest of the season is must win. See, as the Ravens got the advantage of the division being so close that we don't have to win every game out. We have 4 division games left. We win all 4 division games. we win our division. We win 3 of our division games left. We win our division. We're already 2-0 in the division. We really only need to win 3 more games, and I don't. And our odds of winning division is high enough. We'll be okay. As for the Chiefs, even if they win out, it's very unlikely they even have a shot at division. So each game for them setting up wildcard seeding is super important. So I don't want to drop my pick here who's going to win or lose here, but I probably would lean for the Chiefs because I think they need it more. I think they're a little better coached team. But man, Dallas on Thanksgiving, don't overlook it. And then last, the night game is going to be Cincinnati and Baltimore. They coming to our house, and I don't care if they're bringing Burrow. I don't care if they're bringing our boy Flacco. I know what we do to the Bengals. And I know what we're going to do to that offense. We're going to see Lamar do his thing against the Bengals. He always does. We're going to see this defense get after Flacco or Burrow. We're going to force turnovers because we've done that. It's now 9 turnovers in the last 4 games. That's what we do now. And I love when we do that. I don't care what you say. I think this is a given game for us, and this is important. If Cincy somehow pulls out this win, that whole theory of us just needing just 3 more division wins to win, it's a little more difficult because I view us splitting with the pick Steelers. I'm sorry, with the Steelers more than I view us splitting with the Bengals. So we gotta win this. This is a must win for us again. It's a division game. We're at home. This team is not as good as us. I don't care how you put it. They are not as good as us. We are the better team. So this is a game we must win to get our 6th win in a row. It be in division and really set us in a really good position to win the division. But with talking about that game, I want to end the podcast talking about 3 problems we must address to continue our streak, or at least have a only lose maybe 1 more game this season, and then in the playoffs get some W's. So first and foremost, I'm going to say it starts with utilizing underused talent. Likely doesn't get enough plays. See, we've proven early in the season last year and throughout season last year, we got him really involved. He was hurt early this season, and we have not transitioned him in well at all. I think in general, we're not really good about switching up offensive personnel. We've been so heavy on the run game and switching out who's going to be in running packages, but we are not really good at switching up offensive packages. I think that's on Monken, and he needs to improve on that. We don't get Tez Walker enough. I think Wallace had that great punt return last year and really earned his spot on this team. But Walker's a better receiver. You watch him out there, his routes, his speed, his catch radius. He should get more touches, especially with Bateman hurt and not playing. Why is it still only the Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews show? I mean, you're still only giving D Hop the ball once. Like, it's just it's not ideal, and I don't like it like that when I know we have talent on our roster and we're not drawing up plays for it. And that's on Monken. Because yes, personnel it's Monken and Harbaugh, but as a good offense coordinator, you have to draw up plays to get your best players open. You need to draw up these plays. You need to draw up these schemes. Zay's not going to be open every single play, and Mark isn't either. So you have to learn how to utilize our other talents. That's number 1. 2 will be our converting on third downs. Right now, we're converting at 42.8% on third downs, which is 14th in the league. So right dead center in the middle. That means if we make the playoffs this year, because 14 teams make the playoffs, that would we would be near the latter half of the rankings for third downs, which is not how you win. Time possession and third downs and red zone efficiency, all that is very, very, very important to the game. Those are some of the most important stats week in and week out. You need to convert on third downs for you to continue your drives. And if you can't continue your drives, you can't score points, which continues to my third point. My final point is our slow starts and our inability to score in the first quarter and the first half. We are ranked 22nd in scoring in the first quarter at averaging about 3.5 points per game in the first quarter. That's ridiculous. That means 1, we're not scoring touchdowns in the first quarter, and 2, that probably means we don't score a lot on our first drives either. And I'm watching the games, we do not. We are ranked 24th in first half points at 9.5. That means we are averaging maybe a little over a touchdown and a half. We're averaging less than 2. Now we're winning games now. We're on a 5-game win streak, props to us. But you can't start slow against every team and hope to claw back to get the win. And yes, our defense is doing good and great. I love how our defense is playing. I'm not sitting here complaining about our defense. I think we've stepped up. We've done what we've needed to do. They went in and got out of pass rusher. He had 2 sacks yesterday. Hamilton's been playing all over the defense. He's playing himself hurt and still continuing. Humphrey missed his game. Humphrey's already back. These guys are playing hard on defense. They're playing great on defense. They're putting in all their effort. It's time for the offense to step up. I mean, even our special teams is great. Tyler Loop's been a phenomenal kicker this season. He's missed 1, maybe 2 kicks. And Jordan Stout with a 74-yard punt. That guy is special in the punt game, and he's going to be a really good punt. He's just, if you didn't know how good of a punter he is, he just put himself on the map yesterday. But we need to score. Our offense needs to get going. We need to start clicking. Because if we don't, we're going to run into really tough scenarios in the playoffs where we're hosting a playoff game to the Chiefs in the first round of the playoffs. And if we do that, playing like the way we are, we're not beating the Chiefs. Whether it's home or not, we're not beating them. Do we really want to be one and done in the year that Kansas City is a wild card team? No. No, that's not what we want. So that's how we do it. Those are the first 3 things we need to focus more on and we need to fix. There's a lot more that we can improve on, but I think if we can improve our third down percentage, if we can score more points early, and if we utilize the talent that we're underutilizing, then we can be a very, very successful team. And hell, my prediction of us winning the Super Bowl can still come true. Lamar may not win MVP, but if we can win the Super Bowl, I don't give a crap about all my other predictions. But that's it for this episode. Please like, subscribe. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. We got Thanksgiving coming up. I'm going to try to drop a video beforehand, but about my picks and stuff. But if I don't remember to say it, hey, happy Thanksgiving to everyone. Enjoy the football, enjoy the food, enjoy your family. Or we never know when we're going to lose someone in our family or when what's going to happen tomorrow. So be grateful for the moments that we get in times like this. They're so important, they're so valuable. So once again, thank you to everyone watching. I want you to know I appreciate each and every one of you. The support means everything. One day when I get to where I'm going, I can look back and be like, man, I really appreciate the beginnings. So thank you everyone. Have a great rest of your day.